Still diving into the aftermath of the trade deadline, Jon Heyman and the deal that never came to fruition that's gotten the most attention was, good morning, Eduardo Rodriguez invoking his no trade, saying no to the Dodgers. We have heard from both sides, and we just got a statement from Eduardo's agent, Gene Matos, saying this: I negotiated a no trade clause in his contract for a reason. With all the money, glamour, and fame that comes with being a professional athlete, there's also a very difficult personal side. Many players' wives and their children suffer a lot of instability in their lives, especially with their spouses getting traded. I do not take that lightly. Eduardo is one of the best left-handed starting pitchers in the game, and he's also a human being who wants stability for his family. They're comfortable living in the Detroit area, have adjusted well, and as for the Dodgers in particular, once I was granted permission to speak with them regarding the trade, we did our best to come up with a way to make it happen where everyone was comfortable with the outcome. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. What's your reaction to Gene's statement?
Well, it's understandable.
Sure.
I mean, we understand that Eduardo had a no-trade clause with 10 teams, many of them West Coast teams. He lives in Miami in the winter, but in Detroit with his family during the season, and they're comfortable in Detroit. If we recall, last year he took several weeks off for family reasons, so he obviously puts family first, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I get it. They did discuss at the end, and the Dodgers made a big pitch. I mean, Mookie Betts called, J.D. Martinez reached out, and you know what? The Dodgers actually offered some financial inducements. There was a negotiation, but there wasn't time, as Gene Matos referred to. So that was it. The Dodgers actually did try hard also for Verlander and Scherzer, two more who had no trades. I think Scherzer would have gone if it had come to fruition. They'd made an offer of two prospects. Obviously, the Mets preferred Luis Angel Acuna, the brother of Ronald. Can't blame him for that. And then, of course, with Verlander, I think they were probably the second choice. He wanted to go to Houston. Would he have gone to L.A.? Maybe. The no-trade clauses certainly played a big role this year.
Sure, most players would want one, and if they have it,
Sure.
it's their right to use it, right? And that would have been a quick pivot on the part of Detroit, because that deal with Eduardo, it seemed to come down to the wire. We always have a list, John, of winners and losers at the deadline, and Dira was talking about the Reds earlier and their need for starting pitching. You and I were sitting here talking at the trade deadline. Was the price too high in the end?
You know, I'd say a couple things about the Reds. First of all, he mentioned that Lodolo and Green are coming back, and they have two guys at AAA. They have a lot of good young players, Richardson and Phillips, doing well for the Reds. Yes, they would have liked to have gotten a starter. I think they were handicapped by a couple things. One of them was the fact that the Pirates and the Cardinals were two teams out there offering pitching, but were they reluctant to trade with the Reds in division? That might have been difficult for them. We know the Cardinals traded, obviously, Flaherty and Montgomery. The Pirates ended up trading Hill. They held on to Keller, but I think that was difficult for the Reds. Is it possible they were a little gun-shy? I mean, they've drafted and developed so well, yet some of their trades have not worked. Obviously, we remember, this is going back a few years now, the Matt Latos trade where they gave up 4 good young players, including our own Yonder Alonso, did not work. So, you know, some people may look at the Reds as gun-shy. They obviously have a lot of great young players. But I think it was more a matter of the fact that, you know, Scherzer and Verlander weren't going to go to Cincinnati. Then you have guys on Pittsburgh and St. Louis being traded, same division.
I never thought about that.
They were in a tough spot. Yeah, the one guy I think was Michael Lorenzen, who was an original Red. They could have gotten. It's tough to compete in the trade deadline with Dave Dombrowski.
Of course.
He usually is able to pull the trigger and get the deal done.
And he did. And Michael Lorenzen will start for the Phillies this afternoon right here on MLB Network. Sometimes we're all guilty, right, John? We're guilty of talking about Shohei Ohtani and Max Scherzer. But on these deadline days, there are names who kind of fly under the radar. And we think about them a year, 2 years later, and we say, oh, my gosh, that trade seemed like that and seems like this now. Who are those guys? Who stands out?
You know, I think the White Sox pulled a good one when they got Jake Eater, left-handed pitcher, was a 4th rounder, had Tommy John a couple years ago, looks like a very good prospect, number 4 on the Marlins list. This was a little bit under the radar. I actually liked the Marlins being so aggressive. It was interesting they went for power guys in Berger and Bell after they'd gotten the contact guys in the winter, obviously a rise. So I like what the Marlins did, but you know what, the White Sox, I think they did very well as a seller. Obviously the team underachieved a lot this year, but I think they did well. They were very decisive with the trades earlier, and this trade late for Eder, I think, was very good. They also got Nick Nastrini, a UCLA product, which I think was a good move for them in the Lynn and Kelly deal. Lynn is one guy who did approve a deal to the Dodgers, and that deal worked out considering Lynn has a 6 ERA, Kelly has a 5 ERA. Obviously, they're better and more important than those numbers indicate, and LA pounced on that. They did get Yarborough, and Lynn weren't able to get the big fish that they were looking for, which was Scherzer, Verlander, and as we've discussed many times, Eduardo Rodriguez.
And that's right. Jon Heyman with the very latest. Thanks so much.